Welcome to Open House, the real estate and mortgage show on News Talk 580 CFRA.
With Frank Napolitano and Paul Rushforth, here is Steve Gregory.
Special day in the studio today.
Oh, it's a big day. I mean, it was already going to be a big day. We have Charles Clement on the show, who's the owner of Clement Homes. But it got even bigger when his wife Nathalie showed up, too. So now, we have to be
bigger.
Well, we have to be in our best behavior now. I mean,
okay.
So yeah, we have Charles on the show.
We just got classed up a little.
We got classed up. So Charles and Nathalie are the principal owners of Clement Homes, who we represent in Rockland, Russell. We also worked in Embrun. So lots of projects we had on the go with Charles and his builds.
Frank is here as well.
I am, and this is not going to be an infomercial on Clement Homes, but it's about educating our listeners as to some of the advantages of buying, and especially if you're a first-time home buyer, getting into a home that Clement Homes has at least opens that door for you to build some equity over the next 3-5 years so that you can graduate to a bigger home.
Well, and the difference is in quality of construction, too.
Of course, but it's tough these days. Getting into that first home for young Canadians is extremely difficult. More and more young Canadians are losing hope of ever being a homeowner, and hopefully this opens up the door for them.
Well, we did have some news that's not firm yet, but we're talking about first-time home buyers, the GST rebate for first-time home buyers. I don't know if we really want to go into too much depth with it because it's not 100%. I think it's on its second reading right now. It's going to come through where first-time home buyers only buying new builds will save 5%. They'll save the GST on these new builds. So it did send the builders into a bit of a scramble because we still don't know 100% how it's going to work and what's going on.
So no dates yet?
Well, it's supposed to be in play, but the fact is it's not 100% yet. It's in its second reading. It's 99% going through, but it's not 100% yet. So, we can talk about it if we want, but it will be a big benefit for first-time home buyers buying new builds.
Is there PST on that as well?
Well, it's only exempt. So there's HST on the new builds, but the GST is exempt. So 5% of the tax is exempt.
Oh, so there is PST.
Yeah, but you're looking at a $500,000 townhome. Do the math. That's $25,000 you're saving on a $500,000 townhome. So it is a big program for first-time home buyers with new builds only.
Yeah, one's provincial, right, and the other one's federal. So now,
that's
this
what I mean.
Federal.
So the provincial is not.
The provincial has not. Will they? I don't know. I mean, it feels like the provinces are in tight too with their budgets. So we don't have a federal budget, so you can do whatever you want right now because there's no budget in the federal. But on the provincial side, they're pretty tight. So if anything, what we need the provincial government to do, and I think Charles would probably agree, is open up some of the land that's there and take away some of the development charges that are there so that they can help on that front and maybe still collect the PST if they want.
Well, if you listen to the news, that's being done right now, right? No development charges anymore.
Yeah, Charles,
easy, right? It's easy to get a permit and stuff, right? I mean, it happens overnight, doesn't it?
No, it's not that easy.
No, there was a lot of sarcasm in that comment.
Yeah.
So how long does it take from the time you apply for a permit to the time you can actually start building homes?
A permit, it's not that long. It's when you start a new project and you have to go through land development. It could be a year. It could be a bit more. But a construction permit, once the land is approved, subdivision is registered, it's roughly about 3 weeks for a construction permit. But you've got at least a year to a year and a half before.
Why? Can I ask why? Like, is there something? Did they come back? Is there a back and forth? Is there a lot of back and forth? Is that why it takes that long? Or?
Yeah, you need to go through a lot of steps. You need a lot of studies to be made and a lot of negotiation. And that's how it is. It takes a long time. Development charge is definitely something that is going up in prices, and that's going to create a hurdle as well.
Is there a way that you see that it could be sped up in any way, or that's just the way it's going to be, a year and a half by the time that you like?
And Charles is quite connected too, right? So that's for him,
right?
Imagine a small builder who's not really connected in the city.
It just seems like a long time. If we're in a position, and I'm not 100% convinced that we have the housing shortage that we thought we had 2 or 3 years ago, because now with immigration pulled back, I think that the housing shortage isn't as bad as it used to be. But I still think that we need some houses being built, specifically for young Canadians.
Yeah. Well, we've talked ad nauseum on the show that they keep saying, the government keeps saying, and every party that comes in says, we're going to make sure it's easy for builders to get shovels in the ground, and it's going to be much easier so we can build more homes. And it hasn't really happened, has it, Charles?
No. If we take, for example, Gulf Ridge, we started to work on that project, I'm going to say a year, a bit more, and now we're starting the road. So it took over a year.
Over a year, and that's no shovels in the ground, just roads. Like, there's no builds going on yet, just the roads.
Wow. And Gulf Ridge is where?
That's in Rockland.
Yeah.
And we were talking before we got on the air about condos. This is the ultimate downsizing condo, if you ask me, that we were talking about.
Yeah.
How much?
Well, you know what? We have condos now that Charles is building right on the Rockland golf course, and we've pared back one of the models we're doing right now, and to make it really affordable for first-time home buyers. And they're under $400 now. They're $399.9 for a 1,050 square foot, 2-bedroom, 1-bathroom condo right on Rockland Golf Course, which is a really nice golf course. So $399 first-time home buyers, that's a steal.
Wow. How many of those do you have available?
Well, we're just starting. There's not even a shovel in the ground yet. But what do we have of the new 1.0s of the fairway flats?
Yeah, we have at least 16.
Okay.
So the T4, then the T5. So and we also have the T1. So we'll decide that the original model, the 1.0, is very popular. We did a lot of those, so I think it's a great opportunity.
Yeah, so there's 16 of them that we're building. But keep in mind, we do have the original ones that we've been building that has the beautiful patios on the back with the glass doors and windows and that.
A little bigger?
No, same square footage, same layout, same bones. It's just we just have a few extra things in the other one. It's a little more expensive when we realize that sometimes people are price sensitive, right? So if we can get you on the golf course in a beautiful condo, for under $400,000 is I know you can't. There's not much under $400,000 these days. So
no, for a first-time home buyer, though, I mean, you're looking at mortgage payments of probably just under $2,000, and if you put condo fees, maybe $250, $300, you put taxes on there, you're $2,500, $2,600 in something that you own. Where realistically, when you look at it, that's what you're paying to rent something, and you don't own it. So
what a great way to get into the market.
We're getting close to where it makes sense, right? I mean, before COVID, it would make sense to buy versus renting because the costs were virtually the same, and you own versus renting. Where since then, with the price of homes going up as much as they are, it's very difficult to match. And to buy a house, you might be $700-800 more than you're paying in rent. But here's a scenario where you're actually almost on par. And you own it. And again, build equity for 5 years. You don't have to be there forever. It's not your.
If you're on the golf course, you may want to stay.
Wow, it's a nice the view where this is so beautiful too. It's a gorgeous view. But I want to ask Charles one question while we have him because he's not going to be on forever. So I want to ask him about tariffs, how that's affecting your business right now. Because our prices, we haven't put prices up. I mean, we're still very reasonable. I mean, you can get into one of his townhomes for under $500,000. You can get into one of the condos for under $400,000. And prices haven't gone up. So are you not affected by tariffs?
Right now, we're not. And I'm not sure we're going to see tariff affecting us. Most of our supply are Canadian. So it's well protected. And some of the example, the wood is going down as we were talking slowly. So I don't think tariff right now is going to have an impact on us.
That's good news.
Now let's talk quality construction. I'm not going to hear my neighbors there, am I?
No, at all. You're home alone, even though...
I'm always home alone.
Yeah.
But concrete and the sunproofing that we pay attention so much to is really the best.
Now tell us about the concrete construction. Not everybody does this.
No. Everybody's trying to be as good as concrete, but we do it concrete. And in the condo, we'll do some testing, and we score so high, it's amazing.
So you're talking about sound levels between units, right?
Yeah. So between units, between units, upper and lower level.
All concrete?
All concrete.
All concrete. That's what I did. I said to Charles one day when he was showing me all this concrete, you're literally in a concrete box, right? You don't hear your neighbors above you or beside you. So I said to Charles, hey, you're a builder. You're in the business for making profit.
Yeah.
And there's a cheaper way to build, right? Why don't you build the cheaper way? And he responded and said, it's my name. My name's behind it. And
for over 30 years, right?
Yeah.
Is there any downside to all concrete? Is there any downside?
Yeah, the cost.
Apart from cost, is there any downside to it?
For people, you mean?
For
homeowners?
people, homeowners, like
I bet insurance
environmentally,
is
right?
cheaper.
Insurance is cheaper, but with soundproofing, you also have the fireproofing.
Right.
So the advantage would say also 2 hours fire rating between units.
Right.
Wow.
But I don't see any disadvantage. No.
Okay, good. Yeah, that's what I thought, but I didn't know whether, apart from cost, obviously. So.
Yeah, the cost.
There's days I wish we had concrete between Frank and I. Oh.
Well, it's a perfect place for Paul to live in. Then this way, now you still got to see him. Unfortunately, you can still look out the windows, right? So, but
5-2 on talk. 5-2 on 8.
We're like a wedding couple, aren't we?
We will be right back. Welcome back. Well, all these new listings, are you getting more action, Frank? A lot of people starting to
steady. It's busy. I mean, again, in our case, a little bit different than a realtor, right? In our case, we've got a very robust database of clients that have their mortgage coming up for renewals. And they need a lot of assistance because they're coming off of 5 years ago rates in the low 2s and high 1s, and we're starting to see those. And now the reality sets in where when you're renewing your mortgage, now you're in your high 3s and low 4s, and that takes a little bit of a hit on your bank book. Most people don't understand bank book anymore, but on your bank account, and they need assistance. And, you don't take the first offer that your bank, and this is the coaching part that we do. We're actually calling our customers 6 months in advance, and we're trying to coach them into, your bank's going to try and get in touch with you. And I had one yesterday, and the bank said, listen, we think rates are going up in the next 6 months, so we think you should early renew, and here's the rate we're giving you, which wasn't even that good of a rate at 4.49.
And what rate are they at now?
2.19. So I said, in what world does it make sense to give up your 2.19 for the next 6 months? Makes sense for the bank because their profit goes up, but it doesn't. And we're going to waive the penalty. Hear this? They say we're also going to waive the penalty. So we're going to make your interest rate go from 2.19 to 4.49. We're even going to do you a favor and waive your penalty. Like they even have the gall to say that really you should be paying a penalty to do that.
Wow.
So again, it's a matter of coaching. And for anybody that's got a mortgage coming up for renewal, I don't think you need to panic. I think it feels like a trade agreement is around the corner. It feels like they're making some progress on a trade agreement with the U.S., which will make all this tariff talk go away. And if this tariff talk goes away, now we can deal with our markets normally. And listen, every week we're reading about layoffs and layoffs and layoffs. We're not reading a lot about this company setting up and they're creating 1,000 jobs. We're not seeing much of that. So our economy is a little bit shaky right now, which means that we're seeing a lot of people considering downsizing. I think that's why the listings are up. We're seeing people that are saying, maybe I don't need this big home. It's only 3 of us in this home. Maybe we're okay with a home that's maybe $150,000 less, so our payments could be much more affordable for us. We're starting to see that.
And we're actually seeing the exact opposite of COVID. Remember during COVID, families were moving in together. People wanted more space. So people were actually buying those bigger homes and buying those country homes and things like that. And then now we're the other way. Life's expensive. Life is very, very expensive. So people are going the other way now and buying the smaller homes and, not looking for those huge, massive homes and massive yards. It's
a lot of downsizing now.
Yeah, absolutely. It's not even downsizing right now. People in general who would be upsizing are just not upsizing. They're just staying in their modest home or buying something similar.
But people don't move around like they used to.
No, they don't. But if you go into most builder sites, like if you go into the big track builders like the Mintos and the Cardells and that, and you look at their model homes, rarely do they have large single models for sale right now. Rarely. Like you don't see the 3,500 square foot models, the 3,200 square foot models. When back in the day, that's all they had. They had, 28 up to 3,500 square feet.
5 bedrooms at some point.
Yeah, now you're seeing a lot more townhomes. You're seeing a lot more small singles. That is more of the trend, and it's not just for, people who are in their entry-level first-time homes. We're seeing people who are staying in those type of homes, buying those type of homes, downsizing into those homes. It is the trend now, is the smaller. So townhomes are quite popular.
How expensive are townhomes now?
Good one, Steve. We got a builder on the show who could tell us that. But, well, listen, townhomes can go anywhere from, like, we're selling them right now in Russell and in Rockland. Rockland, obviously, on the golf course. Russell, an amazing spot. But we're starting at $499.
No. How much are townhomes, I said?
Townhomes, $499.
No.
That's what we're starting them at, is $499 for a townhome. And, with a finished basement, we're almost at 1,800 square feet. You've got a 3-bed, 3-bathroom. Almost 1,800 square feet for $499. Well, that one's a little bit more expensive because you're adding a finished basement, but you're just over $500,000, just over. So,
And where are these?
Well, we have those on the Rockland golf course. Okay, and we also have them in Russell. Russell's an interesting project. It's where Charles just started building in Russell. We've got 6 units now, or we got the 3 on the go, 2 more, another 2 coming. So we have a lot of townhomes. Total we have going on in Russell now is 134 townhomes in Russell, just off the sort of the downtown core of Russell.
That are built or you're starting?
Their roofs are on. Some of them have the roofs are on. They're ready to rock and roll.
So occupancy 4 months, 6 months?
Occupancy is starting in August. So we have some every month. So from August to December, we have at least 1 to 2 building every month being able to deliver. The only thing is the first one are sold.
Right.
So
which is a good thing.
Exactly. So August and September is sold out, but we have some in October, November, December. And we just did start in March.
Yeah.
So it's really moving in Russell.
6 months, eh? Like 6 months more or less to build,
exactly.
to get them all up?
Yeah.
That's a lot of time to save, though, if you're looking for a home. If you're a
the
first-time home buyer.
one thing with Charles and Nathalie, too, is they take a lot of risks. Like builders also need financing, right? So a lot of times Charles is like, I need this many sold. If I don't get this many sold, I can't keep building because I need financing from the bank. Well, he's taken a few risks with us and said, I'm going to bank on you guys getting those sales for me, and I'm going to just start building. And that's coming out of his own genes, right? So he's taken some risks. And in a market and an economy where people are pulling back a little bit on building, including the big builders and the medium-sized builders, he hasn't pulled back. He just keeps going and going and going. So we have so much product on the go right now. It's and great product.
Now, is there talk about postponing development fees until the house is sold?
No, development fees, they're on. Actually, some cities are increasing them. Even some city wants to double them. So we are regrouping.
Including Ottawa, I think, if I'm not mistaken. I think I read that about Ottawa, that they want to increase them almost double to make up for the shortfall in their budgets.
Ottawa, I'm not sure, but on the outskirts where we're working, yeah.
But this is left-hand, right-hand. At one time, the government is saying we got to help. And on the other side, some fees are getting doubled. It doesn't make any sense to me.
It doesn't, because, we get that special rebate, GST, and then we get hit with development charge.
Yeah. But the worst part about that is the builders can't just absorb all that. They have to pass
That's
that
what
on.
I'm saying,
Yeah, they have to pass that on. So now prices have to go up. Well, we're in an economy right now where prices can't go up. People can't afford, houses to go up as well as food and gas and all this going up.
And not if you're a first-time home buyer. You don't want to pay more.
It's hard, and that's what we're building. First-time home buyer product is mainly first-time, if not downsizing. But, the townhomes and the condos, those are the ones you want to keep affordable for people to get into. And, if they start jacking up development charges, it's hard for a builder. I mean, they're still in the business of making a profit. They got to make a profit to survive. But if the fees go up, well, their costs have to go up, and prices are going up on consumers.
So I say it doesn't make sense to me.
It doesn't.
On the one hand, you got one side saying one thing.
Well, a lot of the platforms...
Too many levels of government is the problem.
The problem is a lot of the platforms that these governments come out with, it's all about, well, not all, but a good chunk is about housing and affordable and getting shovels in the ground and building more homes and building more homes. But when when you talk to a builder who's in the trenches... They know it's not that easy. I mean, fees are going up. It's harder to get shovels in the ground. So, I mean, you're right. The left is not talking to the right now.
Any difference getting shovels in the ground from 5 years ago? Is it any easier at all?
No, it's not easier.
I
wish it would be. But no, it's not.
We keep hearing how much easier it is.
No, it's not.
No, huh?
No. It's
so what would make it easier?
What would make it easier? Probably less red tape. Probably less negotiation.
Negotiating with who? Negotiating
cities.
With the cities?
Cities, yeah, exactly.
Yeah. How much negotiation? Like, I'm curious. How much negotiation is there?
They keep on asking more studies, and it's just increasing. So all of those studies,
like environmental studies, you mean?
Environmental and all kinds. So this is cranking up. This is causing.
Do they add value? Those studies? Do the studies really add value, or is it just making somebody rich who does these studies that really wouldn't make a difference whether the study was made or not in some cases?
It's a good question,
Way to put them in a corner, Frank.
No, but it's a good question. Obviously, the ones that are making those studies are really charging us. but it slows down the process.
So wait a minute, you have to pay for the studies too?
Oh my God! Yeah,
Of course.
Yeah.
You think the city's going to pay for them? Because if the city had to pay for them,
So they're bringing in more studies and making the builders pay for more
So
studies.
the city can order them, but you have to pay for them.
Well, actually, we have to pay for it and then start the negotiation about the condition of those studies. So you have to pay during the negotiation, and it keeps on dragging. And sometimes we start with no permit. We have to start because otherwise we won't be able to deliver units.
hey,
It's a different world. When you're in the trenches, it's a different world than what we hear. It really is. That's why when we always talk about, it's that much easier. It's that much easier. And I'm like, no, it's not easier at all.
How many balls do you have to juggle to
no
build a
kidding.
house?
Okay, quick question for you. How flexible is Clement Homes as a builder where, and I'm sure the Paul sees it, where people will buy a house from a builder and they expect their house to sell, but their house doesn't quite sell and usually it's market conditions. I think a lot of times when I talk to people, they feel like their pricing is right because the realtor recommends the pricing and they go with it, but the market itself just pulls back for some reason, whether a neighborhood isn't selling. So is there flexibility from a builder like Clement Homes on that stuff?
There's a bit of flexibility, not much, because we have all that investment up in front of us. So there's a bit, not much.
I've had builders
but Charles
tell my clients $300 a day. It's like that seems outrageous. $300, like $10,000 a month to
Just to
carry
hold-
that
to
home.
hold
But
It
Charles
just
has
doesn't
been,
feel-
there's been a couple occasions where he's been very fair with someone. I mean, they were in a hard spot and he was very fair with them. But keep in mind, he's losing money all the time too, right? So he can't. Builders, sometimes it's like, $300 a day. And if you don't close, we're finding this and taking this deposit and that. Charles has been quite fair, but we haven't run into too many of those.
No.
We've been
And your
pretty
money's
good.
out there for a long time before you get to close.
Very long time, a very long time, and that's the issue. We have flexibility, but we can't, and we're supporting inventory. So we create inventory to be able to have units available.
Yeah.
So no, it's always a juggle.
I mean,
Well,
the last
anyone
time
that's built a home will know all your money's up front. Like you build a home, the doors and windows just don't show up and you pay for them. No, you're giving 50, 60, 70% of the money of those doors and windows 2 months before you even get them delivered to your door. So
I built one house with a contractor that I moved into, and I thought that was crazy. That was my own house.
it was tough.
I don't know how you juggle all these balls.
Yeah.
Well, last time he came on the show, he went to Harmon Steakhouse the night before. Last night he took Natalie to McDonald's. So, it's,
you better get on your job then, Paul.
Yeah, seriously.
521-TALK, 521-8255. We'll be right back. Welcome back. Paul is here. Frank is here. Charles and Nathalie here. Say hello, Natalie.
Hi.
Hey.
Yeah, there we go. She said something. There we go.
you know what? We have French listeners, bilingual listeners. What would you say to French? Maybe French first-time home buyers that are
How
in
would
the
you
market.
How would you say? Be quiet, Frank.
Bonjour. Ce que je dirais aux acheteurs, aux premiers acheteurs, c'est que chez Clement Homes, on a des très bons produits à bas prix, des townhomes, des maisons arrangées à Rockland, à Rushforth. On vient tout juste de launcher, hein, on dit des mots en anglais aussi, à 399 000 des maisons arrangées. Donc, chez Clement, on en a pour tous les goûts, des maisons arrangées, des condos. Donc, venez nous voir, allez voir notre site web et puis communiquer avec Paul Rushforth, notre agent d'immeuble. Merci.
Oh, see,
Why does it sound so much better when Natalie talks about it compared to you?
Right. I know. Can I get one thing out, though, about an open house? Because I know Charles and I are going to forget about this if we don't. But Glenn from my team is hosting a open house today in Rockland at the model home, 325 Dion Street in Rockland, 1 to 3. Go out there and take a look at what Charles and Natalie are building. The model home is at 325 Dion today between 1 and 3, and say hi to Glenn. So
And for the French listeners, c'est une maison ouverte.
yes, there we go. Yeah, there we go.
And what about
Funny listening to you.
Visite libre, they call it.
Yeah.
You know what's funny? If anyone tuned in right then, they're like, "Oh, I thought this show used to be English."
Yeah, but French is
what
very
about
similar.
Italian listeners?
French is very similar to Italian, where half our lingo is actually English words. When we say we talk Italian, but half of it is an English word. So,
You're right.
you know, the townhouse, there's got to be a way to say it in
It's
French.
maison arrangée, but we're used to,
saying it with the English word.
Yeah, exactly.
We do the same thing in
Frank,
Italian.
it's down the house. Down the house.
But only solo una cucina, so it only has one kitchen. These townhouses,
Yeah, they
Italians
call this-
like the two kitchens.
They call this,
in their homes,
they call
so.
this Fringlish, right?
Yeah, Fringlish, yeah.
Frank, we're working on Frank's English.
Yeah.
You know, he's
Yeah.
Are you having to get creative, Frank, with mortgages now?
We're having to, the one thing that bothers me a lot is as the rules have been stricter and as the interest rates have gone up and the housing's gone up, more and more really good clients that may have normally qualified through a traditional lender are having to go the alternate lending. And the government's proud that they're making it harder and stricter, but they're penalizing good, hardworking Canadians that may have had a slight somewhere where they've gone through a marriage breakup or they've had some health issues and therefore maybe they've fallen behind on payments. So the reward for that is you're going to go to an alternate lender because your bank won't be able to do it because you don't meet the criteria. And I just think that that's incorrect way of doing things, because where people need your help the most is when you should be there for them and have solutions for them. Instead, the solutions to go from getting a mortgage, and refinancing at 4% versus having to refinance at 5.5% for a year and hoping that you can get your credit score back up, or hoping you get your separation agreement in place because you're newly separated and the bank won't touch you without a separation agreement. So, that's the one thing that disappoints me about the rules that are in place now, is that you penalize people that really have never done anything wrong but could use your help. And instead, the way we help them is by,
Making it more difficult.
Yeah, making it more difficult and more expensive to go somewhere else.
What about on renewals?
Renewals, again, if you do a straight renewal, and I say to clients all the time, if your renewal is 3-4 months from now, the bank is never going to give you their best offer 3-4 months from now. Number one, if you've got a low interest rate, wait until the end, because the likelihood of interest rates going up in the next 4 months is way more or less than the likelihood of rates coming down. So if the likelihood is better of rates coming down, I think you want to wait it out, especially since you've got a much preferred rate now. So why would you give that up? And always wait till closer to the end, because closer to the end is when the bank now sees a risk that you might be going somewhere else. So therefore, they're going to sharpen their pencil. And, I get clients that call me and say, Frank, can you do me a favor? Like, I'm not going to do my mortgage with you, but can you send me an email with the best rate so that I can go to my bank and they can match it, because that's what they asked me for. And I will say that's absolutely, to me, that's embarrassing.
Yeah.
Because where's the loyalty here? So if a client tells you that they can get this rate, in essence, what you're doing is you're calling them a liar. Show me something in writing. I don't believe you. You got to get me something in writing for me to get you a better rate. And my response, I say to clients, is say to them, so you're calling me a liar, so I can get over that maybe. But really, so you're telling me that there's a better rate out there, but I have to go do some work for me to get that better rate. Don't I just deserve that better rate since you want me as a client?
Aren't you trying to make me happy?
It's just,
Frank,
I get it.
How much higher is a normal mortgage to an investment mortgage?
You mean if you're buying an investment property?
Yeah.
Could be a quarter point.
Quarter point
to half a point. I mean, it used to be fair game, and now the banks have all said there's more risk in an investment property. But the way they underwrite investment properties is so much stricter that they shouldn't be charging a premium, because the likelihood is that, for you to be able to afford and get approved for an investment mortgage means that the risk level is next to nothing. So if that's the case, why do you have to charge a premium? Because they can, and they can get away with it. And that's why they have posted rates, because they can. They get away with it. It increases their penalties, again, at a time when consumers are the most vulnerable, where they've lost a job, gone through a breakup, and they got to break their mortgage. You penalize them even harder instead of giving them a break. And it's just, the whole system is unfair. It's all geared towards the big banks making more profits. It's
what
unfortunate.
Kinds of things can you do for people who are renewing now into a much higher rate?
Well, you can increase your amortization, but the minute you increase your amortization, it's considered a refinance. So it's no longer a straight renewal. So the rate that they offer you is no longer on the table, because now it's considered a refinance. And it's incredible. Some people have what's called
I thought you could go back to your original amortization.
No, because, again, it depends on your mortgage. Now, the banks won't do it because they see an opportunity to make more money. So they call it a refinance, even though they've registered a collateral mortgage, which means it does not expire on the registration system. So therefore, it has no expiry date, unlike a standard mortgage that if it's registered for 25 years, at 25 years, it drops off. So the bank can't increase the amortization because then at some point you're still going to owe money and they're not going to have the lien on the property. But now what they do is even on a collateral mortgage, which has no expiration, they call it a refinance because they can make more money on it because they say to clients, if you're refinancing it and we're changing the amortization, means we got to do a new registration, which means the rate that we offered you is no longer applicable. Now the rate is a half, 3/4, or sometimes 30 to 50 basis points higher on a refinance than it is just on a straight mortgage.
But if you're doing that, then you can shop your mortgage around and get less.
I agreed. But
so
again,
why would you stay with the bank if they're going to?
But because most clients are extremely loyal to their banks. They feel like their banks is their best option. They don't go shopping around. I'll tell you, I've seen some mortgage statements the last month or so. I had one this week where the gentleman is losing $1,900 a month on this rental. And it doesn't make any sense, but he's keeping it because his father's convinced him, because a Costco just built the block away, that somebody's going to come and buy all these properties and develop it. And in the meantime, he's losing $1,900. But the worst part of it all is he sent me his mortgage statement. His amortization with TD Bank is at 54 years and 3 months, where 5 years ago, his mortgage matures in February. So almost 5 years ago, he started off with a 25-year amortization. But again, banks have the variable rate mortgage where when the interest rates go up, the payment stays the same. So less goes to principal, more goes to interest, and your amortization goes up at some point. And that's where he's at. So I said to him, you realize in February that mortgage comes up for renewal, you're not going to be able to get a 54-year amortization. Your amortization is likely going to come back down to 25 or 30.
So he's going to be losing more money.
And therefore, the $1,900 is going to become $2,500, $2,600. Are you sure you really need to keep this property? Are you willing to throw that money away for the next 2, 3, 4 years on a chance?
The last time I checked,
some developer might buy something. It's not worth it.
The last time I checked, an investment property is supposed to be an investment and make money.
You should get a return, shouldn't you?
You should get a return on your investment. Now, don't get me wrong. When the prices were going skyrocketing and the rates were skyrocketing, it was very hard to get a cash flow positive investment property. It was very hard. It's now a little easier. Prices have come down a little bit. Rates have come down. You can now find investment properties that are cash flow positive.
Are there many problem? Are there one problem still?
Yeah, tenants.
Tenants have all the rights.
Oh,
yeah. So again,
why did you
tenants have all the rights?
Frank,
that's the problem today.
You know how Frank gets wired up when we talk about oil prices and gas prices and stuff like that?
Even though I drive an electric car,
tenants, that gets me wired up because of what's going on in today's market with how tenants are just controlling the whole situation, and it's really
unfair.
It's unfair, but you know what it's doing?
They have to level that playing
field. It's pushing a lot of investors out of the market because of it, because they're scared to get tenants in there. And I can tell you, I happen to be a guy who always endorses buy investment, buy doors, buy doors, buy doors. Now it's like, buy doors, but you better get the best tenant in there. And don't put the wrong tenant, because I'm dealing with some nightmares right now where the tenants are literally nightmares.
Now, coming off Frank's scenario, are there many developers that will actually buy up old properties like that and then start from scratch?
We do.
Yeah?
We do. Yeah. In land assembly, sometime we'll buy an old house beside a bigger piece of land, and yeah.
But not a whole area, though.
No.
Yeah, you're mainly buying vacant land is ideally what you're buying, and
you don't want to go through teardowns and.
Well, often there'll be a house beside a lot. And,
right.
You know, we're pushed to buy that house.
Yeah. Yeah, but nobody's going to get super rich off that.
No.
Charles, I had a lot of pressure from my team this week to tell you that they want some West End land. They want some West End land. And I said, you know what? He'll find some West End land. Don't worry. He will.
We'll see when we come back. 521-TALK, 521-8255. Welcome back. Frank is here. Paul is here. Charles and Nathalie Clement from Clement Homes. Okay, I'm getting a little confused now. How many areas are you guys in?
Well, why don't we talk about what we sold out first? We had 70-odd condos.
I'll ask the question.
I apologize, Stephen. We had 70-odd condos in Ombre, St. Moritz, which we sold out that subdivision. Then we had how many in Clement Cove and Rockland on the golf course?
Clement Cove was 50 town, I think.
So we
sold out.
Sold out. Those all last year. We sold those subdivisions out, and now we have one on the Rockland golf course called Gulf Ridge, where we have 100
townhouse. 100. We have apartments. We have condo as well, and that's the project I was talking. We're starting the streets right now, and we take drone pictures. So we'll supply this to to Paul, and you'll see how the evolution is. It's nice to see when you take a land from scratch.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool.
Is there a benefit to get in early?
Yeah, obviously. Yeah, and the prices are what they are because it's a starting project. But as the project goes, prices has to go up.
And those prices again on that lot are
$499.
They start at $499 for a 3-bedroom townhome. So that's on the golf course. That's on Rockland Golf Course. And then, of course, we've just started a subdivision in Russell, which is Southwest Park, which is booming along in Russell. And there's how many we have out there?
134. We started, as I was saying, end of March. We
134 what?
Like townhomes.
Townhomes. Yeah, exactly. And we're starting to deliver in August.
Which is awesome. Started in March, delivering August. And there's a lot going on out in Russell. And it's going to be a really, really nice subdivision. It's not on the golf course, but it's a beautiful, beautiful subdivision. And those townhomes are starting at $499 as well. So to get a townhome for $499, like that's 7 years ago pricing. Like that's really, really cheap. And it's, and the one thing I will say about Charles' product, I've worked with a lot of builders, but the one thing I'll say about Charles' product is his standards are most builders' upgrades. So, I mean, your standard is granite, hardwood, ceramics, high-end kitchens, high-end flooring. Like, that's a standard. So that's usually most builders, you go and you take a look at the model home and you're like, wow, I get all this for $499. Then you realize there's $200,000 worth of upgrades in there. That's not the same with Charles. His standards are pretty much upgrades on most builders. So you can see these units on my website at paulrushforth.com or clementhomes.ca. We'll have all the product there. So
now, where's the screaming deal on the condo?
That's in Rockland on the golf course as well. So that's in golf on the Rockland golf course, and you can have. We have some for sale that are in the 4s that are higher, different product, but we're coming out with a new version that are for sale as of right now at $399, starting at $399 for a 2-bedroom, 1-bathroom condo, backing onto a beautiful hole on the golf course. So,
wow.
Yep.
Pretty cool.
How much does that cost me a month, Frank?
For what, the 400?
Yeah.
Well, you
2,000.
Steve, at your age, you can't get approved for a mortgage.
Actually, there's no discrimination. It's funny. So, you talk about people that are calling. We've got clients that are calling that are in their 60s and 70s. So your age, Steve, and
and your age, right?
And wondering if they can get approved for a mortgage because of their age. And the truth is, age does not play any factor into it. There's no discrimination against age. If you've got your pension income and if you qualify through traditional methods, you choose the amortization you want based on what's best for you. So,
are there a lot of 60 and 70-year-olds looking for mortgages?
Well, they currently have mortgages because in a lot of cases they've helped their kids get into homes.
So they've
taken out financing to help, in a lot of cases, or some of them are in their second relationship. So therefore, you start over in some cases. So again, in scenarios like that, people shouldn't worry about age because age should never be a factor. A bank can never tell you're declined because you're 80 years old because that's against the rules.
And I'm not
Speaking of age, though, Frank showed me a picture this morning from 2015 of you and I. And keep in mind, we started this show in 2007. I was 33 years old. I was a young buck. But that picture from 2015, I had my jet black hair, and you still had the gray hair.
Yes.
Well, I have it put in.
You have your hair highlighted, do you?
Yes. This is not gray. These are highlights.
They're platinum blonde, are they? Platinum blonde, yes.
So no problem with seniors getting mortgages. In other words, if you want to change your mortgage from whatever lender you're with now for a better deal.
As long as you qualify, again, you go through the traditional qualifying. In some cases, some seniors are forced to remain with their current bank because they got their mortgage when they were employed and now they're on pension and maybe they're just on OAS and CPP and other smaller pensions. So in those scenarios, they may be forced to stay with their bank because on a renewal, you don't have to go through the qualifying process again. So you just renew. Your job then is to negotiate the best rate that you can possibly get.
And are more people retiring with a mortgage now?
Yes. And
are they really?
Yes. But is it really that bad to retire, have an $800,000 home? And let's look at the values of the homes too. And too many times we focus just on the debt. But what happened? What transpired in 2020, 2021, 2022, excuse me, built a lot of equity for some seniors that they weren't expecting to have. So a home that maybe was worth $500,000 is now $800,000, $850,000. And yes, they still might have a mortgage, but at least they've got more equity when they are ready to sell and move out, they'll have a little bit more money in their bank account despite the fact that they still have a mortgage at retirement.
Imagine how much money you'd have. You sold that place and you bought a condo for $399.
or if you kept the house out off Highway 16 and today it's selling for significantly more 8 years ago. So,
that's a shot at you, Steve. That's a shot at you.
But again, you were going through a life cycle where you had to sell it at that time. So, people...
A life cycle. That's one way to put it.
Well, that's one way to put
we
it.
call that a divorce, Frank. Yeah.
So speaking of, I'll do my announcements. So, first I'll talk about Mike Hapke's son, Coops Anderson, who celebrates his 19th birthday today. He can legally drink, which is awesome. One of my best friends, Frank Mariano, the appliance king, I call him, celebrates his birthday today. Father's Day, obviously, for all of us in this room. We're all fathers, so except for Greg. But sorry, Greg, but you've. But anyway, happy Father's Day. We focus a lot on Mother's Day, but dads are pretty cool too. So I lost my dad a couple of years ago, but still, happy Father's Day. And 39 years ago, at this time, I was standing at the altar.
Wow.
My beautiful wife was walking down the aisle.
Oh, wow.
And to this day, it's still the most amazing day of her life. So.
I was going to say, when you were going to say the most amazing day of your life, I was going to say,
her life.
We should ask Kathy that question
Of her
too.
life.
Yeah.
So, no, you know what? At 39
So
years.
what did you do? Plug her ears and put a blindfold on her?
Yeah.
3 beautiful kids, 2 beautiful granddaughters, another one on the way. So life is amazing.
Natalie, this is Frank's way of not having to get her a card.
Yeah.
No, we don't do that anymore. You know what? We celebrate every day. Every day we're together, we celebrate. We take trips. We make experiences now. That's the way to do it.
I just want to remind everybody that Glenn is sitting at an open house today, 1 to 3, one of Clement Homes, the model home in Rockland at 325 Dion Street in Rockland. Go take a look at the product and meet Glenn. 1 to 3 today.
Fantastic. Charles, Natalie, thanks for coming. Always great to have you here.
Thank you.
Thank you.
It was a great time.
No, come on, you can be
Un
honest.
plaisir. C'est un plaisir.
C'est un plaisir.
Oui.
Have a great week, everybody.
Have a great week.
And continue to support local business and charities and local home builders.